All right, thank you so much for joining us on a new edition of Lunch Out Loud Ottawa, number 82.
Oh, it's 82.
Yeah, we took a little time off because congratulations, Andrew,
Thank
birth
you.
of your daughter,
Yep,
Madeline.
thank you so mumuch. First child, yeah.
Your life's going to change.
It has drastically already, yeah.
Getting
So-
any sleep yet?
Not really.
There's your answer.
It's sporadic here and there, but
It is?
yeah.
How's
The
everything
sleeping?
going?
Yeah, but it's great. I don't know. You might sleep a couple hours here, a couple hours there, but you still wake up. You feel rested. It's not like in the old days in college when you didn't get sleep. You definitely feel a little bit better still when you wake up. So
Trust me, the time will go by in a blink.
it does.
My
Yeah.
daughter's 25 now.
Oh
It
wow.
was just yesterday she was born.
I bet. I bet. It feels like just a couple days ago we got home from the hospital and she had her 1 month birthday last Sunday. So
Yeah.
Party.
it's incredible.
Anyways, so of course we're the podcast that talks to the people, places, events, and music that make this city the incredible city that it is. And before we get to our very special guest, Greg Graham, CEO of Cardel Homes Ottawa, why don't we check this out? So thank you very much, those girls. So of course, go to their show this Saturday with Fevers at the House of Targ. New album will be out later this year. That was Change My Mind off their cassette release this week. So everybody's doing the cassettes.
Yeah.
Break out your Walkman, your Sony Walkman.
Yeah, I remember those nice, beautiful yellow things that.
Thanks, guys. I don't feel so old anymore.
Yeah.
You're carrying your Walkman into work today, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my old Sony Walkman.
Yeah. House of
Still got-
Targ's been doing pretty well too now. Eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
They've
Great
been,
acts there. Great
Have
local
they been
acts.
open for a long time or?
6 months now.
Okay, because I was going to
Great
say
times.
it's pretty recent that I've seen.
We'll go there in a bit. We'll
Absolutely.
go there in a bit. So anyways, we're here this week with Greg Graham, CEO of Cardel Homes Ottawa. Of course, this is our third edition of Builders that we do. And it's always fun to do because we think that if we're going to do a show about Ottawa, why not talk to the people that help build Ottawa? So
Absolutely.
it makes it... and it kind of humanizes these builders because everybody sees all these homes up in the distance, and we want to get people to know about these companies. So,
Yeah, we live here, we work here, we build here. So it's important
great.
to us.
How long have you been in Ottawa yourself?
Myself? Probably 30 years. But I'm originally from Brockville.
Okay.
Oh, that's
town
not too
south of
far
here.
away, just a little
Yeah,
jaunt up the street.
and took a stint out west for a number of years and came back here. I actually came back to join a company called Terrace Investments, and this was the original building we worked out of.
Oh, really?
So Bruce Firestone was the owner
Yeah.
of Terrace, and of course that morphed
We've had Bruce on the show
into
before too.
Ottawa Senators,
Yeah.
right? Sports Entertainment. So I guess in the home building business, I get to claim that the biggest house ever built was the home of the Senators, because I was the project director on building what is now Canadian Tire Center.
wow.
Yeah.
So, really?
What was
so
the
yeah.
original plate? Was Palladium the
Palladium
original
was the
name?
original.
Okay, that's what I
yeah.
thought. Yeah.
What were some of the challenges with building the Scotiabank place?
The biggest
Canadian
challenge
Tire
we
Center.
had, the biggest challenge really was getting the approvals through the government at the time, because the NDP came into power, and when we won our franchise, of course, Hamilton lost; they didn't get one, and there was a great union support for the Hamilton franchise back then. So the NDP came into power, and the union supported NDP. So we had bought the land where Canadian Tire Center is situated, and there was a huge appeal on it, and they really didn't want us to build out there. We looked at several different locations for the arena,
Yeah, we
but
talked
that
about
was
that,
the
yeah.
most feasible. And Bruce had this vision. Bruce and Bruce's father had this uncanny ability to look 20 years out and get it right. And you can see the vision that Bruce established back in the day of West Terrace, is what we were calling it, the arena, be hotels around, be shopping, be residential, is coming to fruition today. Now,
With
it's a little
10
bit
years,
behind, a little bit behind his original schedule. We thought 20 years, we're going to be closer to 30 years. But you can see with the Tangiers, with the Avalon development going over there, with Broccolini, with Home Depot, all that stuff is coming to fruition. And so, but the challenge was getting the land rezoned and then building it. And then we had to build it on a fixed contract price. So just because we're a small market, small town, everybody was still learning about the Senators and the financial viability of it at the time. We had to work with our building partner, which was PCL at the time, and a great building partner they were. And they stepped to the table and really helped us make this thing a reality. And so to this day, CTC is still considered one of the top 3 buildings in North America.
Wow.
How is it considered one of the top 3?
From an architectural point?
Architectural, sight lines, comfort, sound, the acoustics, the whole bit.
Really?
It's still considered one of the best. I mean, I can remember when Brian Adams opened for the facility when we first opened, and he come in and he did his sound check, and we were sort of standing backstage, and he come off and he said to one of his guys, "Oh my God, the sound in here is incredible."
Yeah.
And that was one of the things we really worked on. And when we were designing the building, we said, we really want our concert hall where hockey's going to be played.
Yeah.
And now you get to see, we're getting the Justin Timberlakes, a
lot of big acts.
All the big acts coming into town. And the same
Black
thing,
Keys in September.
they continue
I gotta
to
get
hear
tickets.
it. The sound in this building is phenomenal.
Really?
It's really good. And if you've been to a hockey game, I'm sure you guys have been to many hockey games,
absolutely.
sight lines are spectacular.
Oh, there's not a bad seat in the
There's
house, really.
not a bad seat in the house.
I even once went and I had the standing room only. It's
Right.
fine up there too.
Absolutely. I used to go up and sit in the press box to watch games just because of the perspective you get. And not a bad seat. But again, because we design it for shows and for hockey, a lot of the new rinks are designed for basketball and hockey, with basketball being the primary driver. So the sight lines in basketball are a little bit different than hockey, right? And so again, it's still considered one of the top 3 buildings in North America. I think Anaheim, the Pond in Anaheim is probably number 1, and the United Center in Chicago might be number 2.
Would not have guessed that.
Oh, wow.
I've been to United Center. That's a great place too. For basketball.
Yeah, and Cyril Leader, who's still over there, I mean, Cyril was really the architect behind everything bringing the Senators back. I mean, he's just a genius when it comes to it. His signature's all over that thing, and when we engaged Rossetti Associates to design it, we worked very hard on getting that design right. And so I like to think that my contribution is to home building is building the home of the Sens. So
Oh, that's
that
great.
was fun, eh?
It's a good title to hold.
Yeah.
What else has kept you in Ottawa? From moving elsewhere to maybe Vancouver?
We're pretty far west here. Does that feel good for you? We're what we call BC in Ottawa? In Bell's Corners?
No, you know what? I'm a West End guy, so and having been out here in the Bell's Corners area, Canada area, I live out here. It's so natural for me. And yet, Ottawa is such an easy town to get around in. You think of Toronto. I've been to Toronto so many times and driving. It doesn't matter if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the morning. You're in a traffic jam, right?
Yeah.
We obviously, our corporate office is in Calgary, and Calgary is become a nightmare to get around in too. Ottawa, while we have those bursts of traffic jams, and of course some construction traffic jams, it's not a hard city to get around in.
No, not at all. You can avoid those traffic jams quite easily.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, there's certain things that the city still has to do. This bridge across over to Gatineau to get the transports off King Edward is something that they really have to get to. So lots of talk going on now that the election's coming. They really need to rethink a ring road. I mean, Hunt Club was a ring road. It's now congested. It's the city's growing. I think they need to look at an additional ring road around the city.
I was going to take Hunt Club. I come from I live Hunt Club in Hawthorne, so far east of the city. Right. I left at 3 o'clock on the dot and made it here. I think 35 minutes flat, but I avoided Hunt Club for that sole reason. Right. And I took Baseline all the way down instead.
Yeah,
but
and that's a nice thing about Ottawa. There's different ways to get around.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, we had an accident out there coming from Rockland where a transport, hit a vehicle and flipped over, and they had to shut down that. Try to ship people up. There's no real other way around when you're coming from that far out east, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you think you need to bypass to be able to get people in and around the city. And as long as traffic continues to move, people will take it.
And that's something I mentioned to clients coming from out of town. I said, if you're working downtown, here are the different areas of town that you can live in.
Right.
And Orleans is always the one I say, that's the worst traffic that you're going to hit.
That's
coming
right.
from anywhere. You can live out in Chrysler or Emblem, far east of the city, but still in the 417, and it's easier than Orleans.
And it's interesting because, as a developer, we are a commercial developer. We're just residential developer. One of the things we've said is that Orleans has always lacked the ability of attracting businesses out there. Office space. It's got great retail.
Yeah.
It's a service industry oriented community, but it needs to get business. It needs to attract businesses out there so it can really sustain the community and they can live, work, and play right in their own community.
Yeah.
Right. That was the vision way back in the day here in Canada, and actually Bruce Firestone was sort of a part of that discussion group as well. And the fact that we were saying, look, we need to be able to develop something. We need to have something to focus on, and so they went after high tech. And,
that worked out well.
And high tech grew and grew and grew, and you saw what happened to the West End. So, of course, everybody that lives out here typically works out here, and it's a live, work, play. The big push for us as a builder in Canada and in the West End is with D&D's potential move here to the Nortel campus. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. Is there any dates set out for that yet?
Well, I've heard that late this year they may start moving some in. Next year, 2015 I think is when they're certainly going to move in a component of it. But I think it's going to take another 10 years to move all entities of the D&D out here.
We always like to get some feedback on restaurants. I have to say this is our first show out here at Bell's Corners. There is a couple of good new ones that have popped up. Have you hit up any decent bars or restaurants out and around? The one I'm thinking of, and I can't remember, is it called The Wood? Right on the corner
the
of...
brew pub. The brew pub at the hotel?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I go there quite often. Yeah, it's quite easy. We walk up and... it's got the bar component to it. It's got the restaurant component to it. It's good food.
The brew table. Yes, there you go.
The brew table. It's quite good. Zola's has been here for years and years down the road, and we actually go over there and have breakfast meetings and get served breakfast and the whole bit at Zola's. And Tony's owned that forever and a day.
Local Heroes is still here.
Local Heroes.
I noticed they've closed down pretty much everywhere else around the city, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was the original one or not, but it's the longest lasting now.
I think the original one was Bank Street.
Oh, is it Bank Street?
Bank Street, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then Maryville, and it was over here on March Road for a while. So, yeah, Bell's Corners is going through a transition now. There's this whole transition. The BIA here is really focused on redevelopment, trying to get something back to it. But when you look at the map, Bell's Corners is sort of out there on the pod. It's on an island by itself. Right?
Yeah.
It's sort of the Australia of the globe, and it's got good infrastructure availability to it the whole bit. But it's still sort of, because it's surrounded by the greenbelt, it's just sort of this pod.
Yeah.
Right? And it's tough when you start to look and saying, well, we've only got so much land that we can grow in and develop in. Where do we go? People will go to Canada or, to Orleans or wherever. So I think that's one of the challenges with Bell's Corners. But the BIA is working very, very closely now to try to redevelop it, re-energize it, bring in new entities, new businesses.
Do you have any examples of what they've done recently, or is it still a lot of things coming
forward?
A lot of it's
on planning. I mean, the new hotel over here, the Holiday Inn Suites, it's jammed all the time.
Okay, really?
It's jammed all the time. I think with the Nortel campus changing hands, I think that'll certainly rejuvenate it. But when you look at it, you got to imagine, when you're coming from the Queensway, you're coming through the Greenbelt, getting into the Bell's Corners, right? So there's no real opportunity for development. And even the Nortel campus is sitting on NCC land. So when you start to look, it's got to be a rejuvenation of the businesses on the main street here that it's going to take effect. And honestly, any business is looking to, how's the community? Is community supportive? Is there enough people in the community to support my business? And can I grow it? And if they find that they can't grow it because the community's small and it just doesn't have that growth, what happens? Business shut down. You go to a lot of the smaller towns outside and about, you see a lot of buildings close down because the community's just not big enough to support their business entity, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's really what a lot of the communities have to look at is how do we support the growth of our community with new residents coming in so that the businesses are attracted to come here, and then they all pay taxes and they help the beautification. Carlton Place is doing a great job right now.
Oh, are they ever?
Yeah. So you can see it happening. Armprior's doing a really good job as well. Elmont's starting to take that turn. Rockland's made that connection. Kempville's made that connection. And so there's a lot of residents in Ottawa that are looking to go outside to live in these outlying communities because they're really these outlying communities are really putting a focus on the quality of life, the quality of homes, the quality of businesses that are available to you, plus the amenities, restaurants, soccer fields, hockey rinks, everything's there. Yeah. So I bet you 4 or 5 staff live in Carlton Place, and they just drive in, come to work, but they can't wait to go home because everything's there for them.
Yeah, and is that one of the main drives for Cardel Homes then, when you're planning out a new community? I went to the opening of the new model homes out at the new location. I forget the
Blackstone?
Blackstone.
Yeah.
So it looks like an excellent location. How is everything going there?
Good.
And what is Cardel Homes when they envision a new community? What are their main focuses now? Because they're different than 10 years ago. They're different than 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we're very particular about what we do in a community, and we're very particular about our partners. So Monarch Homes is our partner there. We're very like-minded. We think a lot alike in the way we approach our business and the way we approach what we want to design and develop. We want Blackstone to be a very unique community. We want it to be customer-oriented, community-oriented, friendly, parks, sidewalks, things like that. There's a challenge, though, that we run into in the development industry, and any developer will tell you this. The developer tries to get creative. People love living on cul-de-sacs because within the cul-de-sac you can create your own little community within a community, right? They like living on P-loops. So you come off the road, you go into a P-loop, and okay, here's another little self-contained community. The problem is the city's engineering department doesn't like it. It's harder to plow snow, harder to pick up garbage, and it takes more time. And there's so much pressure to keep costs down that really they just want checkerboards, right? Who wants to live in a checkerboard community? Nobody. And so we have to work closer with the city, with the planning department, and trying to find, and not just the planning department, because the planning department likes to get creative too, but the engineering department, they want to keep it simple. And when your budgets are constrained, anyone who's in business or operating a profit center is looking and saying, okay, I've only got so much money to plow the roads. I can only go up and down like this. As soon as you start making me go in and turn around, and I've got to add 2 more guys to shifts to cover that off. So that's one of the challenges, is how do you then create a community that becomes an attraction to people, that will allow for these pods of communities within the greater community, but that the overall sense and feel is unique to that one area, right? And it really becomes. In a lot of places we build in the U.S., we build in Denver, Colorado, and in Tampa, Florida, as well as Calgary. There's a lot of gated communities. And what they do is they set up gated communities, and they have what they call HOAs, which are homeowner associations. Yeah. And the homeowner associations, they pay a monthly fee, but they get community centers, swimming pools, ball diamonds, they have barbecues, they have landscapers going around, they do all their front lawns, do all the flowers, cut the grass. So, but it's not embraced here.
No, there's only a few select spots in the city that have any types of fees that aren't condos.
That's right.
And most of the time it's just for snow removal.
That's right. And that's what we call, that would be called a common element condo, where it's a private road and you go in, but you don't get the landscaping, you don't get anything else. It's just really snow removal, right? Yeah. And so part of that is a philosophy of inclusionary, to make sure that everybody feels like they're part of a community. Yeah. To do a gated community, then you're sort of segregating and saying, only the people that have enough money that can afford here and pay monthly fees can live here. Mm-hmm. And that's frowned upon in Canada, right? Yeah. Frowned upon in Ottawa.
Especially Ottawa, yeah.
So that's a bit of a dilemma. So what we try to do is take what you can see in these other greatly designed communities and say, how can we do it within the confines of what restrictions we have under policy? Mm-hmm. And try to find the right way to design those communities. And I think Blackstone is a pretty good indication of how we're doing it. The other community we're involved with is up the road, is called Richardson Ridge at the north end of Terry Fox. And it's up on a rock outcrop. So we've kept a lot of the natural features up there and kept a lot of the rock outcrop the whole bit. And so it's got a nice vista. It looks down over the valley. You can see Scotiabank. CTC Center from
there. It's hard.
Yeah, I still call it Palladium many times, right? So... But again, we put a lot of effort in with our landscape architect to look at the design of the community, to give it some of the natural features and make it a place of destination. And people will pay for that environment.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's how we try to take our approach to everything we do, is how to look at it, make it functional, make it feasible. Now, one of the challenges we have is because of the restriction on land prices have gone through the roof. Mm-hmm. So it's very expensive. In the development industry, a lot of consumers, a lot of the public don't realize that me, as the builder, I pay for all those sewers. I put all the sewers in. I put the roads in. I put the curbs in. I put the street lights in. I pay for the stop signs. all within that community. And usually on the main roads out and servicing that community, I am paying for the widening of the roads. Not the taxpayer, not the city, me as a developer. And so as those costs increase, they get added to the cost of the land. And as the land prices go up, affordability becomes a factor. Then we have this great thing called development charges. And this is where the city sits back and says, we're going to charge against every homeowner, new homeowner, a permit fee and a development charge. And the development charge pays for libraries, hockey rinks, fire stations, things like that. Well, our development charges have increased substantially over the last few years, and we're going to have a hit come October 1st.
Is that definite that it's going to be coming in then? It is coming in.
It
so
is.
That's going to add $5,000 to $10,000.
$5,000 to $10,000 per door. And what they've done is our development charge fees to the city used to put in the parks. And there's a bit of a conflict there because the city would take the money and they would put it into their slush fund and they say, okay, we need to save this. And we would have homeowners moving into a community and a park wouldn't be built for 3 or 4 years after the house has been built, people are occupying.
That, or I'm assuming there's a question of the quality of the park, the size of the park, what's in it.
Absolutely. And it's a feasibility thing for the city. So what they've done is said, okay, we're going to take the parks out of our development charge and we're going to put it on you to build it, Mr. Builder. So you go ahead and build it. You can front end those costs. We're not going to charge for that park. So we're going to reduce the cost of the parks in your DC. We're not going to increase our fees $8,000. We're only going to increase them $5,700. But we're going to take out the parks and you're going to pay for those. So again, the parks now are coming back into our portfolio. That's a cost. It's going to go into the land cost, right? In the lot cost. And the DCs are going up to help support transit, light rail, our continued library, fire stations, the whole bit. So, is it a fair number? Does it work? That's one of the things we're working through our association with to really make sure we understand the numbers and that the city gets it right.
The Greater Ottawa Home Builder Association?
Yes, Greater Ottawa Home Builder. Our association is very active here, and John Herbert, who's our EO there, is on top of all this stuff, and he works very closely with our Builder Developer Committee, and we'll spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time with the city, as is. And it's interesting, if you talk to a lot of people in the public, they think that the city and development community are always butting heads.
No, they're working together.
And it's true. As much as possible. There's rogue builders that will break the rules. There's rogue developers that are going to do whatever they want or try to appeal everything the city says. Yeah. But there's rogue councillors who have no like whatsoever for the building community. And so, there appears to be a conflict because you read the media likes to pick up conflict.
Yeah.
That's what sells. And it's like, oh, those bad builders, they don't know what they're doing, they're always breaking the rules. You know what? We are partners with the city. And we see ourselves as partners with the city. And as long as we work together, we're going to create a great community, a great city. The problem that you end up running into is because there's now the formation of the community associations. And 20 years ago, there wasn't community associations. And those community associations rally around and they hire their volunteers. And a development application comes out within their community and they object to it. Yeah. We don't want this. This is that NIMBYism. Not in my backyard, right? And it could be a suburban community where, there's a forest behind here. We knock down the forest to build their houses, but they don't want anyone to live behind them anymore. Yeah. So they will object to it. And so the NIMBYism aspect has a political reality to it. And the political reality is, if I'm a councillor, I don't want to piss off my people. Sorry, but that's what they don't want to do. So they're gonna fight the developer, and they're gonna make the developer look bad. And as a result, the interpretation of the community is developers and the city are on opposite ends of the page. In fact, that's not true. We work very closely together, and we in most cases work very well together. And again, there's always the NIMBYisms that come out and they'll get some media attention. There's always those rogue councillors that'll come out and they'll get some media attention. And there's always those rogue builders who are going to push the envelope as far as they can. Just natural, right? And so in working with in partnership with the city, we're finding now that we can drive forward in an open, transparent method. And setting clear rules on the zoning, God, it took 10 years after amalgamation to amalgamate the zoning rules. So as a builder, I'm sitting back going, well, the zoning rules in Gloucester are still on the books, so I'm going to apply that in Canada because it's going to benefit me as a builder. And the councillor for Canada goes, you can't do that. That's not the way it was supposed to work here. Yeah, but the zoning rule's still there. So they've worked hard over the last couple of years to try to amalgamate all the zoning rules and put some certainty around them.
The official plan.
In some aspect, we think there's too much certainty. you have to have some fluff room to be able to make decisions and really do what's right. And in some aspects, there's too much certainty. So we've come from the far right to the far left, and now we need to bring it back somewhere in the middle.
For that pendulum will slow down for the swing.
And that, you know what, it takes time, and it's going to take effort.
We got to take a quick break. Thank you so much, Greg. So much great information. We're going to listen to one more song from Those Gulls. This is On Our Own off the cassette that's being released on Saturday, where you can see them at the House of Targ with Fevers. And also Jen from Foodie Prince will be telling us about some new restaurant openings and some new food festivals coming up shortly. Yum. So we'll be right back with Greg. All right, thank you so much, Jen.
Hi, I'm Peter, the drummer from Those Gulls, and we are super pumped to be on this edition of Lunch Out Loud. In case you haven't heard of us, we're a 5-piece indie kind of post-punk band from Ottawa. And we've got a great show coming up this weekend, opening for the Box Tiger from Toronto and Ottawa's own Fevers at the House of Targ. While we're there, we're going to be releasing a 2-track cassette from our upcoming album. And it's going to be a great time, so you should definitely come out. And here's the podcast.
Thanks, Nick. It's great to be back. So this summer has seen a lot of festivals in town, and even though we're already halfway through August, there's still plenty of festivals left before September rolls around. So first up are actually 2 festivals, and not only are they taking place at the same time, they're actually located right across from each other. The ever-popular National Capital Craft Beer Festival is back. Once again taking place at the Marion Dewar Plaza at City Hall. It runs from August 15th to the 17th. Among the breweries that are pouring include local favorites such as Beyond the Pale, there's Bose, Clock Tower, Kitchissippi, Covered Bridge, Broadhead, Castle Brewery, and the Ashton Brewing Company. And that does not even cover half of the breweries that will be there. There will also be plenty of vendors from outside of Ottawa that are participating. So if you love beer, this is the place to be this weekend. Food trucks, including Red Roaster and Urban Cowboy, will also be there. You will need to buy tickets though, so be sure to go to their website, nationalcapitalcraftbeerfestival.ca, for all the details. If you're looking for something more family-friendly, this weekend, then right across the street from City Hall is the South Asian Festival. It runs all day Saturday at Confederation Park. And at the festival, there will be lots of different performances, singing, dancing, and there will be local artists who will be showcasing their works. And also, a number of food vendors will be there, serving various takes of South Asian cuisines. If you're looking for something to do on Sunday, then may I suggest the 4th annual Savor Ottawa Harvest Table that's taking place at Brewer Park at the Ottawa Farmers Market. It's a celebration of the local harvest that brings together farmers, chefs, and of course, you, the consumer. There will be a multi-course luncheon prepared by local chefs, including those from the Courtyard Restaurant, the Albion Rooms, and Le Café at the National Arts Centre, and they'll be using ingredients that you will definitely find at the market. It will be served family style. Don and I, we've managed to attend a couple of the harvest tables in the past, and I can tell you that it's a really fun opportunity. Not only are you sitting down for a meal, but you're going to be chatting and dining with our local farmers and producers. Tickets are $75, or if you're interested, there is also the VIP ticket package, which is at $90. All tickets, though, must be purchased in advance. So for more ticket details, be sure to visit their website, savorottawa.ca, and click on Events. So Nick, there's just still a few more things. For the beer lovers, I know I'm mentioning a lot about beer, but Dominion City Brewing Company is now finally open. They're located in the East End on Canotic Road, quite close to Montreal Road and 174. The shop is open to the public only on Saturdays, though, from noon until 7 p.m. or until beer runs out. They had their grand opening last Saturday and were completely sold out. So be sure to go get there early if you want to try their beer. And also, a Lower Town Brewery in the Byward Market opened its doors last month. They've got a full menu, and all their beers are brewed in-house. Food-wise, there's been several new restaurants that have opened. Some of the ones that Don and I have managed to visit include Clover Food and Drink at 155 Bank Street. And if you're looking for something sweet, be sure to check out Holland's Cake and Shake by the Parkdale Market in Hintonburg. And that's it, Nick. Thanks, and see you next week.
Greg. All right, thank you so much, Jen from Foodie Prince. The big weekend this weekend for food. I'll be at a number of the places, and those Gulls for On Our Own. So
Cardel Homes. Did that originate out in Calgary area?
Yeah.
You said you have Calgary, Denver, Tampa, and now Ottawa. What was part of the decision making and bringing into Ottawa?
Well, Cardel, and just a little bit, the elevator pitch behind Cardel Homes. Cardel was started by two school teachers, Carol and Dell Cardel. So they were building a home for themselves in the northwest of Calgary, and it was a new community. And what had happened is a gentleman came along who happened to be a pilot with Air Canada and said, "Look, I'm never here. You're doing a great job on yours. Will you build my home for me?" And they're thinking, well, we're off for the summer. We got two of them on the go. We got all our trades lined up. Okay, we'll look after yours. He came back and had another friend that wanted a house. And he said, look, why don't I'll help you finance your stuff and everything. Don't worry about it. And that's how we got started. Wow. Carol and Dell said, geez, we're teachers or we can make some money here in home building. And that's where we got started. So that was 40 years ago this year. So 40 years in Calgary. We've been in Ottawa 19 years. We came here when a company called Genstar bought all the Campo lands over in Canada Lakes. And Genstar's North American president and our owner, CEO, Ryan Oakey, are best friends. And so when James said, look, we bought all this land in Canada. We don't know Ottawa. Why don't you come and build houses? Because we were a partner with them out in Calgary. Why don't you come to Ottawa and build houses for us? We kind of went, what? Really? Ottawa? But one of the guys in our operations office out in Calgary was from Ottawa. So he said, I'll do it.
Oh, perfect.
So Ryan went, well, okay, let's try it. There wasn't a lot of risk because they had the land and they had a financial arrangement for us to protect ourselves. And so we came here and we started building some homes. And we were building, 10, 12 homes a year. And we brought the stucco product here from our Calgary office. People liked their designs, liked their houses. And it just sort of materialized from there. So it's been 19 years that we've been here. We've come from really what I would call a small custom builder, where we would do a lot of customization. We'd build 30, 35 homes a year, to now more of a production builder. Our objective is to build 150 to 200 homes a year. And it's not that full-out production build. We still do a lot of what I call personalization. It's hard to let people move walls and expand the structure within a residential community.
Yeah, then you got to get everything
right
again right back down the ladder to get everything approved.
And the cost goes way up. So what we do is we have what we call structural options already pre-planned, pre-priced within our planning stage. So they can look at it and say, I don't like this bathroom, master ensuite, but boy, I like this one over here. So they can make that selection and personalize it that way.
So what are some of the price ranges that you guys work within?
Well, our single-family homes typically start probably in the 400s and go, we build them up to $1 million. Build them over that. It really depends on what people want to do in the community. Our townhome product will start probably in the 3s, low to mid-3s, and go up. It depends on what people do to personalize it with interior finishes. We've seen some close at over 400. And our condo product, we do a low-rise 4-story condo. Right now it's only in Orleans, with underground parking, sprinklers, elevator. And that product would start in the low 2s, and go to the threes and threes up.
Wonderful.
So we've tried to cover it off with the various elements. The condo product thinking more along the starter line. The townhomes are the move out, move downs, and or the people that are sort of moving up a little bit. And then the single family homes, we're seeing a lot of second, third, fourth time buyers.
You want to guide them along the home ownership.
We want to own their life cycle.
Yeah, for sure. Are there some things that you see coming from the different cities that you work in? Are there some, I don't want to say trends, but I guess maybe building materials that are popular in other spots that you are bringing more to Ottawa that you don't see that a lot of builders carry and or work with?
Well, we're a very progressive builder. We actually go on a product tour every year. So our head architect in Calgary organizes our product tour. We take our head designer. We usually take a few representatives from our various locations. Most of the times we want to go down to California because California is the most progressive place on earth. They I don't know if it's the 70s or 80s or whatever, but they're very progressive, they're very creative. And so we see a lot of new trends coming out of California. What typically happens is trends start in California, they come up sort of the west coast, come up into Canada, come across to Calgary, and eventually make it across to Ottawa on the east coast. We're about 2 years behind what goes on. So because of our affiliation with the Calgary office, and because we do these product tours, we're able to do a lot more unique stuff in Ottawa. If you look at any Cardel Homes, you look at the windows we put in our houses in the back of our hand. Big windows, lots of natural light. We were the ones that brought the walk-in pantry. Everybody sort of grew up with the Lazy Susie in the corner cabinet. We brought walk-in pantries.
A lot of Italians in Ottawa like that, I tell you.
Absolutely. That's evolved to what we now have as a walk-through pantry. You come in the garage, you have to walk out in the foyer, come around in the kitchen, and then go into your pantry. We now put out the door in the back side, too, so you come in your garage, come right into the back side of the pantry.
Great idea.
And put your food right in that way, right?
Grab the food on the way out.
So those are some of the unique things we see when we travel and when we do a lot of our designs. And we try to incorporate that into what we're doing as a builder. Always trying to stay a little bit ahead and be a little bit different. A little different than what everybody else is doing.
It makes it more interesting, too.
Now, with the big push for more environmentally friendly housing, like greenhouses, if you will, I know that the States they're doing a great job there with the homes. Are you starting to see it kind of creep up a bit more with building materials and whatnot? I mean, you have people popping, solar panels as roofs now and whatnot.
What's really interesting, Andrew, is that, and a lot of people don't realize this, in Canada, we probably have the most energy efficient houses in the world.
Oh, wow.
And I say that openly because of the fact that you look at our climate. We have very cold winters. Mm-hmm. We have very hot summers.
Especially Ottawa.
Except this mid-August.
East is very humid. West is very dry. So when you look at what we have across the country, and then, of course, the Canadian Building Code, we're designing our homes to those various weather impacts that we have to face. So, low argon windows, insulation values, those things make our houses very sound and very well insulated. Mm-hmm. So what became, green building became a real marketing cliche. And it was a bit of a trend, right? Everybody has to do this. I was over at the Queensway Carlton today, and I looked out from the Cancer Center, and I see the green roof they put in. It's completely dead, and I was going to snap a picture and tweet it and say, are green roofs really popular, right? Because no one maintains it. Mm-hmm. No one really sees it unless you're a patient up in the cancer unit. Yeah. But green was a big marketing, and then became, Energy Star, and it became LEED, and there became this, and there became that. People became very confused. What we've learned is that you build your sound house, you put your energy efficiency in. The Ontario Building Code and the Canadian Building Code dictate already a number of energy efficiencies.
And they've been upgraded over the last, even 2 years ago, I think
2
it
years
was
ago.
that they bumped up.
And again in 15, right? And so those are things. But when I am selling you and your wife and your new baby a house, you know what your wife wants? Kitchen.
Yeah.
Granite. Cabinets. Under cabinet lighting. Right? She's not thinking that I want to do this. I want this because this is where I'm living. This is where I spend my time. Yeah. That's where I'm going to spend my money. And we started the Energy Star program and said, look, here it is. You can pay for it. You can get this. You get a certificate for $600. Forget that. I'm going to put it in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. So the conscious consumer understands that we're already pretty energy efficient here.
Yeah, incredible. Before we go, I just have one quick question because I know Cardel Homes is doing a lot more with charity and charitable giving. Can you tell us, in a nutshell, very quickly, because we're running out of time, what you're looking forward in the future, 2014, some successes of the past.
Well, we actually have Cardel Foundations, and we do a lot of work with the community. I'm a big believer here with our Ottawa operations that it's not just about writing a check. It's about how do I engage my staff, how do I engage my clients, how do I engage the public. We've certainly done an awful lot of work with the Ottawa Regional Cancer Foundation. Great organization doing all kinds of things for our cancer patients here. The MapleSoft Center is an incredible asset for this city. People have to learn about the MapleSoft Center and really get that message out. Ottawa, the Children's Aid Foundation, we do a lot of work with the Children's Aid Foundation. Again, what a great organization, and you meet some of these kids that the foundation's helping and that the Children's Aid Society is helping. Incredible stories, just heart-wrenching stories. And that's a great thing. The food bank, the Queensway Carleton Hospital. So Cardel's involved in many different areas. We've done stuff with CHEO. But as I say, what we try to do is we try to engage our clients and the public in working with us. Leverage. More money, more opportunity. More importantly, legacy. We used to do a thing with CHEO where you come in and you and your wife come in and bought a house, and I would say, after you bought your house, Andrew, because you bought from Cardel, we're going to write a check to CHEO on your behalf for $1,000. And I would write a check and send it to CHEO, and they would send back a letter to you with a CHEO teddy bear saying, Andrew, thank you for your contribution through Cardel Homes. Now, when you're thinking your next charity contributions, you're thinking about CHEO.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's how we try to build legacy going into these organizations. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to do. There's a lot of organizations that have asked for our help. We have to obviously streamline what we can do. We're not a big company, but we're looking at ways to partner with them, have them be engaged with us, have our staff be engaged, and then really just we're part of the community. We need to live and support these organizations, and we need to make sure they're successful, and that'll mean we're successful.
Well, that's fantastic.
But thank you so much. Greg.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
So time runs out quickly.
Yeah.
We're going to have to run through events going on this weekend very quickly here. This weekend's insane. This
Great.
is one of the most insane weekends of the year. You got the Ottawa Capital Fair starting this weekend at the Rideau Carleton Racetrack. The different than Lansdowne. Yeah. But then again, Lansdale Park official opening is on Saturday at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Great facility.
Well, is it ever?
Have you been out to any games yet?
I haven't, but I've been by the facility a few times, and kudos to the city for getting the job done.
Yeah, well done.
Centertown Movies at Dundonald Park. That's always good outside. You got the Ottawa Capital Craft Beer Fest Friday, Saturday. Yeah. Awesome local bands Friday and Saturday. Definitely recommend. You got City Chase Ottawa 2014 on Saturday. Arboretum Festival presents Why I Left Ottawa discussion at the Ottawa Art Gallery on Monday, leading into Arboretum Festival the week after. You got St. Albert Cheese Curd Festival, the Lac Lamy fireworks finale on Saturday night.
Opening at St. Albert's.
Yep, Nature Nocturne to kick off Pride Week. There's going to be a huge water balloon fight at Strathcona Park on Sunday. Hopefully it's warmer. Crush Improv's month is still going on, so lots of improv going on in the city. Speaking of it, we're going to have them on our show next week. So
wonderful.
And people say Ottawa's boring.
Seriously,
come on.
Saturday also too. If you want to hit up the beach, go to Britannia Beach from 11 to 11. They're going to have DJs playing all day long, all sorts of different types of music.
Wow, well, it's a crazy week. So Ottawa is not boring.
Ottawa is
put
not
that
boring.
on chat.
That's for sure.
Thanks so much. So we're going to listen to one more song from Those Gulls. We'll go on Carry On from their Friday night single, and we will carry on with another episode next week.
See ya.
Have a great week, everyone. Thank you.